People deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back in, and I hope you're all well and safe and you can hear me correctly and all of these sort of things there. So let's crack on. You guys know I review the Premier League month from my perspective every month, and it's the first one of the year, January, and that we might as well crack on. So obviously I've got my notes in front of me. Let's start with the leaders. At least I believe they're still leaders, Liverpool. Now the race is getting tough, people, and I mean, personally, on one hand, I rate Liverpool because if you look at any team that's won the league or any team in general in the Premier League, it's hard to maintain a certain level of consistency and stuff. I personally feel their last run of fixtures, they've been handling business and getting through it, and that's testament to the team, because I do think we've seen a drop-off. I know Salah's still scoring and that, but I feel Salah, Firmino, Mane, all of these players, they're still playing to a high standard. I just feel it's a natural sort of drop-off, but that happens in every team at some stage, and especially when you're going for the league. And the fact that they're still in amongst the shout for winning the league and things like that, it's a good thing. And Liverpool, we know this season, obviously Liverpool always going to get praise for their attacking options and stuff like that. Look how they battered us 5-1, for example. Not this season, but not this year, sorry, but you get the point. Defensively, they've been sound, man. They've actually been sound. Obviously, a lot of that's due to Van Dijk, but you've got to credit Klopp and the training and things, because it's not just... Obviously, Van Dijk's a quality centre-half, but at the end of the day, defending is not just one man. If that was the logic, then Arsenal, if we was to... That's what I tell Arsenal fans. We can't just look for... Of course, I'd love a world-class centre-half or something like that to come into the club, but he's not going to fix the defensive issues. There has to be a collective effort to improve defensively, to adapt to defensive philosophies. Maybe even Klopp's bent his own football to a degree, because obviously, you know, Klopp is heavy metal with him from start to finish. He wants to go at you, and he's still doing that, but possibly they're a bit more calculated. He still maintains his values, but probably surrendered it a bit for the greater good to obviously win the league title, because they're not as gun-ho from start to finish. You can see a bit, and they've always had good game management, but there's more game management sort of thing. So Liverpool deserve to be where they are. Obviously, they lost to City, but they grinded out a 1-0 victory against Brighton, 4-3 crazy game against Palace. They obviously dropped points against Leicester. Everyone's going to drop points. And like I said, when you look at the 4-3 against Palace and the 1-0 against Brighton, these are games that you got to find a way to get through it, because the games are coming thick and fast. These players probably got a hell of fatigue now, because we're in January. I don't know, but they've played hella games. Liverpool, all these teams, Liverpool were competing in the champs. They come out the FA Cup, but they was in that. Obviously, they rested players, and all of these things, and the league, and all of these things on top of training and stuff like that. So it makes sense, man. The only bad thing you could probably look at, you could probably say that they've essentially dropped points against City and Leicester, but it's not that deep. They're still in the league, in the shout for the league. And I wouldn't call it a healthy gap, because it can get caught up on, but it's definitely a healthy gap on a City side that last season got 100 points. So credit to Liverpool, done their thing. Moving on, Manchester City now. And Manchester City, I'm scared to buck them now in February, because they should be vexed. Obviously, they dropped points against Newcastle, and that's kind of flipped things on its heads. They've been dealing with business against Southampton, Huddersfield Town and things like that. But obviously losing to Newcastle's the one, because them and Liverpool are neck and neck at these sort of things. And obviously it never happened this month, but when you quantify the drop points against Palace, did they lose to someone else this year? I'm sure they lost to someone else this season. Sorry, forgive me if I'm wrong, but it's quantified even more when you see Liverpool running away with the league. And obviously on Sunday in February, it's a big game in the top 6 for Arsenal. Anyways, we haven't won in how many years against a top 6 side away from home. If we beat City, we've put ourselves in a good position in regards to trying to get top 4, staying in amongst with a shout. City, you'd imagine losing is unacceptable. It's not, even if they were to lose to Arsenal, they're still in amongst with the shout for the league. Let's not be stupid. But Liverpool we could potentially do Liverpool a favour. They move ground. So Man City, sorry, they're gonna need to be serious, and I'm scared of what they're going to do to us on Sunday, man, because like I said, I wouldn't say it's a must win, because it's not going to be the end of the world, but a must win if they want to get back on track. They've been dealing with business. They've got Chelsea, Arsenal and Everton within their next 3 games. Now, Everton's the one you probably think they win, but having said that, didn't Everton beat them last year? And Everton have been in poor form. We're getting to the season where we're going to see some funny things happen, where teams that haven't been able to buy a win, suddenly they're going to turn into Barcelona 08-09 and them things there. So maybe that happens against City, against Everton, sorry, for City. They've obviously got us and Chelsea, top 6 rivals, and obviously City is essentially 3 leagues within one, in that you got the relegation fight, anything from 3rd to 6th is where the real excitement in the Premier League is. And obviously you've got the 2 in Liverpool. I know mathematically if City drop points, Spurs can make some ground up on them, but really and truly we know, people, Spurs fans will admit, it's Spurs and it's not Spurs, it's City and Liverpool up there. Then it's Spurs at the moment, it's Spurs there. But like I said, from 3rd to 6th, it's debatable. I think Spurs are going to get top 4, so essentially because of Arsenal's sneak upon in getting to the 4th position, United's resurgence under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and Chelsea. Obviously, people were saying Chelsea were going to win the league or challenge City for the league, and they fell from grace. So it's us 3 clubs fighting for one spot. So yeah, on the topic of Spurs, like I said, man, I think Spurs are going to get top 4. Don't get it twisted, it hurts me to say that. I'll give Spurs credit, man, because they've had some injuries and they're still getting results, and that's down to the manager, to testament of the team, the spirit and them things there, the fans, even guys like Llorente. Like, Llorente's a joke, man, let's be honest, he's not a top player. His role at Spurs is as good as it gets at a top 6 club, but things like that, fans getting onto his back, getting onto him, he's missing hella chances, so it is warranted, but he's keeping his head and going. Son's come back from South Korea playing in one of their made-up tournaments again, pulling his weight. Obviously, they went out of the Qatar Cup, probably disappointing in that they bottled it over 2 legs, essentially. I thought in the first leg Spurs would have done it, and again, that hurts to say. Obviously, I think Pochettino threw away the game against Palace, to be honest with you. I know he put some players on the bench and there was some injuries, and clearly top 4 for the financial, as well as being in the champs, but the financial rewards that come with the club, obviously the backdrop of the stadium is of the importance to Pochettino and Spurs. I think Poch wants to win a title or trophy, but I think personally, without knowing anything about Spurs, well, it's not even, it's facts. Like, they've been told the priority is the top 4. We need to get top 4, or next season might be I wouldn't say a myth, but it can complicate things like you're seeing with Arsenal. So like I said, I rate Spurs. They've been doing their thing, man. 3-0 against Cardiff. Obviously, they lost to United. They grinded out victories against Watford and Fulham, turnaround against Watford as well. So to not have your star striker, one of the best players in the league, one of the most consistent players in the league, and obviously Dele Alli is one of their main players. The other players are pulling their weight, and this is how you get top 4, and this is how you compete for trophies. So yeah, man, don't get twisted. I hope Spurs go out of the top 4 and come out of the Champions League, of course, but credit where due, man. They've been doing their thing, and the only problems you probably have as a Spurs fan is external factors that are non-relative to this, relevant, better yet, to the Premier League, which I'm talking about. So yeah, man, big up Spurs for their thing. Arsenal, obviously, I must admit, man, that I wouldn't say it's doom and gloom and fans are carrying on, but when you look at the narrative, and I'm no different. Like, obviously I have my opinions, you've seen them, I'm part of it and I'm using myself, but when you look at the narrative around Arsenal and the actual results, is it really that bad? We know it's a lot could have been quantified, possibly because we've dropped silly points this season, both against big teams where we probably shouldn't, and defensive mistakes, and against the likes of Brighton, Southampton away. 2 games you knew it was going to happen. Wolves, credit to them, it don't always happen. They did their thing at the Emirates. Obviously, we dropped points to at Selhurst Park against Palace. These are the grounds I've told you we need to pattern up in if we're going to get top 4 or better. St Mary's scares me. I don't know for anyone else. Brighton, because of last year. Southampton, well, I've already said Southampton. All the grounds we've dropped points at are the grounds we expect to probably lose at Stamford Bridge. United, a point against United is a good result, but we let ourselves down defensively. Not to name drop anyone, but I remember that game quite vividly. But if you look at the results this month, it's been alright, man. 2-0, well, 2-1 against Cardiff, sorry. Obviously, we let ourselves down to concede that goal, and if we look at the context of the game, Cardiff were kind of all over us and a better finishing striking duo, and they might have got something out that game. We obviously dropped points to West Ham. The players were poor, but I think not playing Torreira in that kind of cost us, so maybe Unai Emery has to hold that, because I look at West Ham, and it weren't this year, but I look at Palace as well, and they're the 2 games, there's more, but they're the 2 games I really feel Unai Emery threw it away in regards to how he started against West Ham and the substitutions he made against Palace. But on the face of it, 4-1 or what was it, 4-5-1? I can't remember the result. I haven't even written it down properly. My handwriting's poor. But we won 4-5-1 against Fulham. Beat Cardiff, obviously. Massive result against Chelsea, 2-0. Fantastic display. The highlight of the month. Lacazette probably my player of the month, and he did his thing in that game. Yeah, man, a clean sheet against Chelsea. Revenge. Obviously, I want to beat them at the Bridge next year, but we did our thing, man. 3 wins out of 4 in the Premier League. Is that really bad, people? Really and truly, is that really bad? Obviously, when we look at the micro of the performances, we kind of had to turn it around against Cardiff of sorts. Fulham, obviously, we won 4-1, but at a point it was 1-1 and it was a second half flurry. Cardiff, we got over the line, but it wasn't exactly a complete or convincing performance. But either way, 3 wins out of 4 in the Premier League. Out of the fixtures we've had, I'm so sure most fans would have taken that. Most fans would have probably conceded a spurt. Obviously, everyone's smart in hindsight, people, but going into this month, many people would have wanted to beat Chelsea. But if you was to look at the fixtures and think where we're going to drop points, you probably would have put an L next to Chelsea versus Arsenal for us. So we've won 3 out of 4. Yes, dropping points to West Ham is silly, and that's why we probably will fall short of the top 4. I hope to be wrong, because we've dropped too many silly points and our away form hasn't been better either. I just feel we've dropped too many points, and the other teams, you've got United doing the resurgence. Spurs are dead on for top 4 in my opinion. Again, I hope to be wrong. Hope these injuries really take their toll on the team and stretch them, and fatigue and them things there. You've obviously got Chelsea. I hope Chelsea just fall away, but you can't rule out a team with Eden Hazard. So whatever happens, happens. But yeah, man, when you look at the results and what's actually happened, there's cause for concern and question marks. But is it really doom and gloom? I don't think so, man. So keep fighting for the top 4. Chelsea, like I said at the beginning, start of the season, everyone was ranting and raving about Sarri, how Sarri found the system for Hazard. All the players were saying it. Hazard was on fire. City and Chelsea were winning. People were saying it's between them. And it's all gone down. It's all gone to pot, really and truly. This month, 4-0 against Bournemouth, unacceptable result, appalling result for Chelsea. And big up Bournemouth for that. Bournemouth ran them ragged, and Jorginho, he started off the season well and he's someone I rate highly, but his CV don't look too good in my opinion. He's been spanned by Xhaka, Dan Gosling, Musa Sissoko of Spurs, and them and there. For someone that's meant to be sick, he's getting spanned by some average players. I think Chelsea's problems come with, obviously, defensively. Stats might not back you up, but defensively, I don't feel they're good enough. Definitely of previous Chelsea sides. Clearly, breaking down sides or converting chances is an issue with them, because if you look at the stats, I'm not too sure, excluding Hazard, I think Morata actually has 5 or 6 Premier League goals this season, forgive me if I'm wrong, but if Hazard's not at it, Spurs, Chelsea aren't at it, and they've been struggling to break teams down. You look at the 0-0 against Southampton, obviously Bournemouth, they won 4-0, but a couple of times Chelsea could have put the game to bed, essentially. Obviously, they got defeated 2-0 against Arsenal. Lovely result. And I mean, what I see with Sarri, I see with Wenger. Obviously, there's differences. Wenger's actually, by the age of 60, Wenger was a winner in several things. But I got to have that dig, guys. But what I mean by that is dominating possession, all nice little fancy chances creating, failing to convert, and not walking away with what matters the most, which is 3 points. Woeful defensively. What I'm seeing in Sarri right now is what I'm seeing in Wenger in 2015, essentially, man. It's like he's really probably got to adapt. He's probably got to put Kante where, obviously, if he concedes, if he's a manager, innit, he's entitled to do what he wants with his team when he wants to do it, innit. But personally, I feel he's got to go back to basics. Play Kante next to Jorginho. Play Kante where he's going to thrive. Obviously, they've got Higuain. I believe he's injured. I don't think Higuain's going to do much in the Prem. I'm just saying that because I don't want him to. But you see what I'm saying? If they brought in a striker to help convert, help their issues in regards to converting. So we'll see, man. But yeah, they obviously beat Newcastle 2-1 as well. But it's kind of been a struggle to cut open teams similar to us as well. When you look at the results or at the actual performances for Chelsea, it's a bit of concern. So if you're a Chelsea fan, you're kind of concerned, like Arsenal. And then you got United, finally. You got United. Wait, am I missing someone else out? I've said Arsenal, Spurs, Liverpool, City, Chelsea, Man United's next, innit, people? Yeah, I thought I only did 5 out of this. But United, now, I feel United got a very good chance of top 4. Now, when I look at Man United, they've still got the same issues. Obviously, Solskjaer's just come into the role, more or less. He's not going to be able to fix the big one for me if I was a United fan, the defensive things. Arsenal are poor defensively. I think Socrates, Monreal, maybe even one, I won't name any, a Holding for sure. I think quite a few of our centre-halves, not Mustafi, get into that United side. And that United side under Ferguson, you would never hear me say that sentence. I feel United have been doing their job. But when you look at the 2-1 victory against Brighton, they got a penalty that could have been 1-1. Again, I'm only saying that because I feel they're sort of team, they're going ahead and stuff, but they're allowing the opposition too many chances. You look at Brighton could have made it 2-2. Obviously, us against them, we didn't take our chances, and their game plan, it was in the FA Cup, but not to belittle the game plan, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's game plan was on point. I just feel that's the only criticism I can have of United, in that probably present too many chances, definitely of recent United sides. Well, since Ferguson's gone. 2-2 against Burnley is unacceptable if we keep it true. Fantastic to come back, but if we keep it true, yeah. They've won. Obviously, they beat us in the FA Cup. It's irrelevant to this, but that's Arsenal versus United. If you win that, your credentials go up with the fans any means. Anyways, got good result. Got to keep it true. Good result. 1-0 victory against Spurs. I mean, that is a good result. Solskjaer's doing his thing. If he continues, I personally feel if he continues playing in the way they're playing and showing the fans in some sort of methods and things, I think he should be at least considered for the job, regardless of if he gets top 4 or not. Because I would think it's harsh if he was to get top 4, if he wasn't to get top 4 and he couldn't get the job. Because I say this because in hindsight, when he came, I know he's got them playing well, and Rashford and Pogba and Martial, even Alexis is scoring, and they're doing all these good things. But when he actually signed for the club, that's all hindsight. But when he actually signed for the club, what was it? It felt like they've either got the plans for the summer, and right now it's damage limitation, it's feel-good factor, it's get everybody playing the United way, loving to play for United, actually coming in with a smile to work, obviously improving the performances. But I don't feel people were saying top 4. You couldn't. No disrespect to him. I know he's done his thing in his homeland as a manager, but he weren't 30 in England. He done his thing with Cardiff. Now, he's probably one of their managers. He's better with better teams and players. But you get it, people. There weren't too many expectations, and he's exceeded them now. People are talking about United getting top 4. People weren't doing that when United were 11 points behind people. So, he's done all right. I know a lot of people would ultimately judge him now if he won't get top 4. But you get it, people. No one was saying Solskjaer's going to get top 4. He has to get top 4 or whatnot. It was damage limitation. We'll see what happens until the end of the season when he took over. So, I feel he's done his thing. He's done his thing, man. Like, he's done his thing. I don't feel he can improve them defensively for this season, at least. I think similar to us, it is what it is. You just got to rely on outscoring teams. But in short, people, the race for the top 4 is the real. I mean, the race for the top 4 is the real excitement this season. Obviously, Liverpool and United. I mean, Liverpool and City. They're trying to win the league, so that's where our attention goes. But I don't support either one of them clubs. If it came down to it, of course, I'd rather City do it than Liverpool for obvious reasons. But you've obviously got City and Liverpool, I believe, are up there. I know Spurs are third, and they can catch them. So you could put Spurs in their own bracket. But I just believe City and Liverpool, Spurs, all the way down to 6th, 3rd to 6th, it's interchangeable. I believe Spurs are going to get top 4, but between Arsenal, United and Chelsea, it's going to come down to a straight fight between the 3 falling giants as to who's going to sneak up in that place. Don't get it twisted, though. I do hope Spurs drop off and come out of it, of course, but see what I'm saying, people. And I don't know why I flipped that. I meant to get my phone. I forgot to actually talk about like relegation and that. Now, without looking at it, I've got a table up here. I don't know if you can see it. Dead. That was dead. I don't know why I did that. Apologies, people. But if we look at it now, away from the top 6, I feel yeah, man. Wolves are doing cool, you know. Wolves are 7th. I feel Everton have been woeful, but they're still 8th. Watford are doing their thing in 9th. Really wish you got 3 points off Spurs. You would be in a different position. You'd actually. Let me check. I'm looking at the right points thing. Yeah, you'd probably stay in the same. You'd be in the same place, but it don't really matter. Bournemouth have been doing that. Well, shout out to Bournemouth for the result against Chelsea. In regards to the relegation fight, people, it's mad. From West Ham on 12th, they're not going to be involved in that. Neither is Leicester and Bournemouth in 10th to 12th respectively. But I believe, people, from looking at this, from 13th to 20, I believe everybody's in that, to be fair. Now, if I look at it, I feel Brighton have made some good points, and I feel Brighton will be okay, but their form's not been really anything to fill me with any sort of pride. I want Houghton to stay up for obvious reasons. He's representing. But you look at the result against United, they kind of threw it away, and then it was a resurgence. Who else? The Fulham result, it was woeful. They've not been able to really, they've not been impressing me with how they're moving, to be fair. And I felt they could have done some business in January. Newcastle, I don't think Newcastle are going to go down. I like Rafa Benitez, and I feel sorry for the Newcastle fans. I don't feel they're going to go down. I think they'll be cool. Palace the same. I think they'll be cool. I think Michy Batshuayi is a very good loan spell. I think that's a good signing, man. Hopefully he hits the ground running. They've obviously got Zaha, and Townsend might not be of the same class as Zaha, but he does his dirt for the team. So I think they'll be all right. Southampton, I'd mathematically, there's concerns with Southampton. I think Southampton under this new gaffer, I haven't been preying them religiously, but there's a bit of a resurgence and things like that. I think they'll be okay, but admittedly, I do think they need to get rid of some players, but I do think they're kind of weak in several areas as well, definitely. Burnley, I think Burnley will stay up as well, but Burnley are 17th, so they're immediately in issues. And admittedly, Burnley, Southampton and Palace are all on the same points without looking at goal difference and all them specific things there, people. So, like I said, anything from 13th to 20 is involved in this relegation fight. But I feel Burnley will be cool. I feel Burnley, I don't know, they haven't been themselves defensively and stuff like that. But I feel obviously they've brought in Crouch, questionable signing. They've got Joe Hart. They've got experience, whether the players are playing or not. They've got experienced players to deal with pressure and that sort of stuff. I feel the players are still on Sean Dyche's side. He's got the players. I feel arguably there's only a few managers in the Premier League that really have a team in sort of their ethos sort of thing. Do you get what I'm saying? In that obviously there's Pep. Roy Hodgson's been at Palace for a minute, so I guess you can include him. Eddie Howe, a better example. And then obviously my man, he's been given time to kind of craft the Burnley side into his image. We know they make the most of set pieces. They're very big on just working hard. And yeah, man, they're letting, admittedly, for a team that was so good defensively, and whenever someone says to me, Sean Dyche and Burnley, I think defensive, they've been letting in some woeful goals, as shown with the 2 goals United scored, especially with woeful for the penalty, and Lindelof's thing really shouldn't happen. But yeah, I think Cardiff are down, people. Admittedly, they're 18th on 19 points. They've been doing a bit better, but I think Cardiff are down. I don't really feel they have any quality in that side. I don't really like Neil Warnock, no disrespect. I feel they're gone. Like, I really feel Cardiff are gone. I just don't feel they're gonna do anything. They're gone, man. I feel they're gone. Fulham, I don't know, man. I wouldn't mind if Fulham stayed in, but I feel Fulham are gone as well. When you see little good results like the turnaround against Brighton, it's cool, but when they're one of them teams, when they're in woeful form, I think they won't be able to do it. I want Fulham to get out. Admittedly, I don't care, but out of all them teams, I wouldn't mind Fulham getting out and Burnley going down. I feel Huddersfield are gone as well. Again, they survived the drop last year, but I just don't feel the quality's in the side anymore. Like, I'm only comparing them to the other sides. Like, if I had to pick my bottom 3, I'd say Huddersfield and Cardiff are there, and it's a toss-up between Burnley and Fulham. I'll say Fulham because they're 19th at the end of the day right now, and Burnley are on 23 points in 17th. But I'd say one of them, man. I actually wouldn't. I like Sean Dyche, but I wouldn't mind if Burnley go down, man. They never like Arsenal, so yeah, man. Yeah, man. The only and another, I don't know why I should say this, but I'm liking. I said it already, but Wolves at 7th. I know they probably target is top 6 literally, and yeah, man, they're on 35 points. They're 10 points behind United and whatnot, and 12 behind us. But you never know in football, and we're only in February, so yeah, people. That's in regards to my preview or review, better yet, of the Premier League month in January. That's it, done. So I'm gonna get out of your hair, people. DG, stay safe, stay deluded. I'm out.